Hello and welcome to Business Insider with Mario Toneguzzi on YYC Business. Joining me today is Arlene Dickinson, who is an investor and an entrepreneur, well known throughout the country for the things she does. Thanks for joining us today, Arlene.
Mario, it's always a pleasure to talk to you. I always am curious what you're going to have on the back, on the sideboard behind you, what kind of things I'm going to be able to see. So I love our combos.
I took the whiskey bottles out.
You did. I'm a little disappointed.
Okay, well, you had some big news to share this week with Canada regarding a new initiative called Venturepark, a business growth ecosystem for consumer packaged goods. Let's just start, Arlene, just by telling me a little bit about what that's all about.
Absolutely, Mario. So, I've been building for the last 6 years this ecosystem, and piece by piece I've been adding all of the components of what I thought was really missing in the Canadian entrepreneurial landscape, and that is helping consumer goods companies in the food and beverage and health and wellness space to grow. We start them here, or we have all these raw ingredients in Canada, and we start businesses well, but then we don't let them become the global brands they could be. And the reason for that is there is really no structure in place in Canada to support their growth. So what that means is putting capital in place and marketing in place, because it's all about branding, making sure that there's programming and mentorship and sponsors that'll support the growth, making sure that there is a media network to actually amplify their business to Canadians. And that has never happened before. And so that whole continuum of growth of how do you build a business in the consumer goods space in Canada from early stage or later stage to becoming global brands requires a series of support services and mechanisms that will actually help the entrepreneur grow. And that's what Venturepark is. It's a one-of-a-kind, very unique business growth ecosystem that is its only goal. It's 5 different companies, all doing very different things, all with very different expertise, but all with the exact same purpose, and that is to help consumer goods companies scale and be all they could be.
Tell me a little bit about your interest in this kind of industry. Like, what is it about this industry that catches your eye?
Well, many years ago, I guess because I was getting, there's a couple things. I guess I'd start with, it always has irritated me that in Canada, we are kind of taught to be low risk, first of all, and B, we are surrounded by the ingredients that the world needs. We have so many raw goods here, and I don't think that anything should leave this country without value being added to it. In other words, we grow the best grains, we have the best water, we grow we have name it, the best innovation, and then we ship it off and we let somebody else productize it, commercialize it, make all the revenue from it, and then we buy it back, which makes no sense. And so that has always bothered me. But because of Dragon's Den, I started to see more and more of these companies in this space coming on the show. Great innovation, great flavor profiles, great companies that had great products, but they couldn't get funding because everybody would tell them that they were not going to succeed because all of the big CPG companies would squash them. In fact, that's not true. Our patterns are changing, our taste profiles are changing. So as I was thinking about Canada's situation, and as I was seeing all these deals on the show, I kept thinking to myself that, why aren't we supporting these businesses? Why is everything going to technology? And just as all that was happening, Mario, this growing need for us as Canadians, as citizens of the world, to focus on our health and well-being has emerged.
Yeah.
And so we're now in the middle of this pandemic, and never before have we cared more about our health or what we consume and the value it brings to our bodies and our personal care. And so I think it's just happened that all of this work that I've done is now in the middle of this place where, as Canada, we're recognizing the need to make sure that we support locally grown products and goods, and that we not only support them because it's the right thing to do, but because they're the best, and that's going to help us live more healthily.
Yeah. Do you think then, like the pandemic has accelerated and boosted this industry?
For sure. I mean, you never want to think of anybody trying to capitalize on a pandemic. And I certainly wouldn't ever phrase it that way. But the reality is, as I said, that the pandemic made us all understand our food and our health and needs, and even supply chain. Where's our food coming from? Can we access food? And so that has actually helped any business that's in the consumer goods side, if they're, especially the more healthy businesses, to do well through the pandemic, because they are providing a very critical goods to Canadians so that they can live more healthily at a time when it's never been more important to.
Okay. Now, I know, Arlene, that you've been involved in a number of the different companies like this. Maybe can you talk a little bit about the range of what kind of things you're seeing and you're investing in?
Oh yeah, we've invested in so many interesting businesses lately through the fund, through District Ventures Capital, which is part of the Venturepark ecosystem that we've created. And again, Venturepark was created so that we could provide all these things together to a company. So one of the most interesting ones recently, there's been a lot, but Outcast, which is an upcycled business based in Nova Scotia, that takes damaged or ugly fruit and vegetables, the stuff that gets thrown away, and converts it and adds pea protein and protein powders to it, and creates a powder that you can use in smoothies or on whenever you're eating, and takes all of these things that would have been wasted and just gone to no good, and makes them into a product that's actually incredibly healthy. So Canadian innovation, we just invested in them. Fody Foods, which is a Montreal-based company, which is for the FODMAP, which is all about IB digestive issues, helping people to enjoy great products, but that are good for their digestive system. Those are just a couple of the recent ones that we've done that we invested in and are helping to market and grow.
Okay. Beyond the fact of falling under this umbrella as an industry, what is it that you look for in companies to invest?
Well, Venturepark looks for companies that are that really can scale, they have the ability to scale. So, they have good supply chain management, they have good leadership as entrepreneurs. We're looking for companies that understand the value that marketing brings to brands so that they can grow and be understood by their consumers. We're looking for companies that are on the spectrum of healthier and more natural and better for you, because it's just a belief that we have that things should provide value to human consumption. And we're looking for companies that are ambitious, I guess, that want to grow a global brand and want to really be all they can be, and that they want to do it from here in Canada.
Yeah. Okay. Super. What do you think is happening out there in the entrepreneurial world and the entrepreneurial spirit, with all stuff that's been, we've been hit with over the last year and a bit with the pandemic. Do you see that spirit still alive in the country, or has it taken a bit of a hit?
I think certainly small businesses have taken an enormous hit. There's no question about that. And it's very unfortunate what's happened. The opening, closing, yeah. The uncertainty, the government support not always being there for the entire continuum of that. The lack of ability for people to shop local because they can't get out and go to the store anymore, and big box stores are open. There's so many things I could talk about, Mario, there, but I think I think the spirit of entrepreneurialism is still, however, very much alive. And I'm seeing people, like I'm an entrepreneur, and I, what I did through this pandemic was try and reinvent the business, and created Venturepark as a result of that, because it gave me time to pause and think about what could we do to address market needs. And so there are, I think, great stories emerging where people have reinvented themselves through this pandemic, their businesses. They've taken a moment to understand what the market is looking for and what people really need, and how they can serve those markets differently, which is, again, exactly why I converted everything into Venturepark and thought about how do we take this moment in time, and instead of kind of thinking about shutting everything down, how do we take this time to reinvent into something that is going to be very valuable to companies and growth. So I don't think the spirit has left, but I do think there has been a lot of damage done. And I am really hopeful that as we open up, and I know we will, as we open up, that we will get to a place where we continue to support small business, continue to celebrate entrepreneurialism, and help people to grow their businesses to scale, not just in technology, but across all areas of Canada, ag, health, and technology.
So for entrepreneurs themselves, what advice would you give them at this time? They're facing hardship, they're facing, uncertainty. Many of them have closed their doors already. Many of them are probably thinking about it right now. What's your advice for them?
Yeah, I have an enormous amount of empathy, because many have put their entire savings on the line to start their businesses. We don't talk about the other side of this, which is when they shut their businesses down, they still are left with debt. They still are left with all of the, the stress of that. And so I would say to all of the entrepreneurs out there that, try, and as hard as it is, and I know it is, but this is a moment for you to think about not focusing on, what's happened to you, but what you can do with what you have to move forward. And that's where reinvention helps. And that's where taking the time to really think about what you've learned from the past and what you can offer the market into the future, and kind of, your why, what gets you out of bed every day. These are fundamental things. And when you do that, you will find the opportunity again, because I know one thing about entrepreneurs: we never lack for being able to see opportunity everywhere around us.
Yeah.
And if the reason that you're not able to go attack that opportunity is because of, the challenge you've had through the pandemic, then regroup. Take the time to regroup, and most importantly, take the time to mentally regroup, because this is a difficult time for so many of us. And I really, as I said, a lot of empathy for people who have lost their business through it, but regroup mentally and physically, and then you'll find a way forward.
Okay, super. Thanks very much for joining us today, Arlene.
It's always a pleasure to speak to you, Murray. I expect to see that scotch on the.
I will. Next time we speak, I'll put it out especially for you.
All right, deal. Thanks, Mario.
Okay, great. That was Arlene Dickinson, a well-known Canadian investor and entrepreneur. This has been Business Insider with Mario Toneguzzi on YYC Business. Thanks for joining us today.